the aspiration behind this program is to provide you with a pretty complete doctrinal and practical set of tools to give you complete preparation for death. How to be of greatest benefit to yourself and others before, during, and after death. And we're going to cover quite a few different topics. The opportunity to do sessions, these 5-week sessions, we could devote each of these 5-week sessions to one of the Bardos, one of the 3 death Bardos, for instance, which would be a really fantastic way to sink into these extraordinarily profound teachings in some depth. And then there's a host of topics that kind of circumambulate these core teachings, like Pure Lands, both Sutra and Tantric Pure Lands, how they relate to the Bardos. Poa, Sutra and Tantric Poa. And then a whole host of practical issues. Sometimes I refer to them as the difficult issues, like what are the Buddhist approaches to suicide, to euthanasia, to abortion, to miscarriage, to organ donation. So we're going to try to juxtapose both a fairly rigorous Buddhist exploration of these topics and then also practical approaches. You know, how to relate to this from both a practical and spiritual perspective. So I guess we could say the one of the ways to talk about the view of this course is to transform obstacle into opportunity. Because I think we don't have to go too far to realize that the greatest obstacle in life is the termination of it. But in the Buddhist perspective, especially in the Tantric view, we approach obstacles in a different way. And in particular, when it comes to dealing with something like death and dying, if we approach this topic properly, it literally becomes a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It becomes the greatest opportunity to attain enlightenment. In fact, it is said by many teachers that there are far more opportunities for attaining spiritual progress and awakening in the Bardos than there are in life. And the principal reason, and we'll explore this in exhaustive detail, the principal reason is that the TV set of samsara has temporarily been turned off. Karma is temporarily suspended. That's actually what Bardo means in Tibetan. Bardo is a Tibetan word which means gap, transitional process, or in between. So at the end of this life, in fact, it is what constitutes the end of this life. Karma is exhausted. And we're going to talk about all the applications of from gross to subtle of how it is that karma, the dissolution of karma, is like a decrescendo into the point of death. And because of this gap, because karma is temporarily suspended, if we have the wherewithal to understand what's taking place, we have tremendous opportunities to either attain full-blown enlightenment, or to be reborn in a Pure Land, or to be reborn in an auspicious human birth like this, and take complete and full advantage of a situation that literally, truly only happens once in a life. So we'll be talking in great detail about all that, and obviously quite a number of topics. And the way this class will be structured is we will be working through the 3 wisdom tools, what we know as the 3 prajnas, yes? Sanskrit word. Those are the prajnas of hearing, contemplating, and meditating. And we're going to kind of do them in reverse order. In other words, we're going to start each session with meditation. And starting next week, we'll be inserting some very powerful contemplations. And then obviously we'll be talking about sort of the doctrinal views behind all this, behind it all. And then obviously provide quite a bit of opportunity for discussion and participation, because in my experience working with this material, that's where the topic of death comes alive, is when we get a chance to really toss it around and hear from you and your wisdom, and also share in our confusion as well, and hopefully try to bring some light to the whole thing. So with that said, we're going to start this session with the core practice, which will provide the infrastructure meditation for all the future meditations that we will do. And there's a number of reasons why we're going to do this. One is that if we can take any experience, and in particular unwanted experience, and what is more unwanted than death, If we can take unwanted experience and bring it into the sanctuary of sanity provided by meditation, that is in fact the way we transform obstacle into opportunity. A couple of years ago, some of you may have been there, Ponlop Rinpoche gave a series, I think 2 years in a row in Nalanda West on an ecumenical approach to dying. Did some people attend those from here? Yeah. And we had a chance to ask Rinpoche directly about, well, what's the best thing to do for someone who's dying? And he was very direct. He said, proper environment. Proper environment. So we're going to talk a lot about this. We use the word mandala, of course, but we're going to approach it also using the teachings of Donald Winnicott, who's a really interesting post-Freudian who talks a lot about what are called holding environments, which are principally environments that are brought about or cultivated in the process of development. And his thesis is that if you create a proper environment, a proper holding environment, through basically birth and the early formative years, then a natural healthy growth will take place within that environment. And in exactly the same fashion, from the cradle to the grave, if you can create the proper environment on the other end, then basically what you're doing is you're creating a milieu that allows the mind of the dying person to completely, simply relax. Because really, the teachings around death and dying, the fundamental teaching, actually as in life, is relaxation. If you can just relax and get out of the way, you're going to have a fine death. It's the one thing in life you don't have to do. Just get out of the way and death will take care of itself. And in a large sense, what we do as caregivers, and even for ourselves, and this is why we'll be starting with meditation, is if we can create a container, a mandala, a holding environment, so that we step into it and the very nature of that environment invokes a quality of relaxation, that's it. That's really all you need to do. Everything else becomes parenthetical to that. So we'll be exploring this in some detail. Okay? I know a lot of you, but a lot of you I don't know. How many people have never been here before? Oh, wow. Wow. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. How many people have never meditated before? Don't be shy. Oh, great. Okay. Good, good. So let's do a little experiment right now. I want you all to just close your eyes. No instruction for just a moment or so. Just simply sit, close your eyes,